Hey everyone, this is the LEGO Lamborghini Countach, and this is also the LEGO Lamborghini Countach. So why did LEGO release two of the same set, the same car? Let's find out. Well, first of all, let's give a quick overview of both sets. You can see all the information for both of them here and here. This is a Speed Champions set for 8+ kids, and this is a LEGO Icons set for adults. Let's have a look at each one. I have here the LEGO Speed Champions Lamborghini Countach. It has the Lamborghini logo here, as well as the official sticker. Yeah, right here on the box there's this official sticker, so that's very nice to see. And here is a photo of the real car. Let's build this one first. So this set, the smaller set, comes with 2 numbered bags. This piece that's not in any bag. This sticker sheet right here, as well as an instruction manual that we will not be using. I will point out though that this is one of the final instruction manuals that LEGO has done, where they actually have a proper background art. In more modern instruction manuals, they just put the thing on a white background, just like they do the black background on the 18+ sets. So no more of these nice backgrounds going forward. Also got this leaflet. I have no idea what it says. It's basically saying that there's going to be a mix of paper and plastic in our boxes. They've been putting this in instruction manuals, and in, I guess here, they put a leaflet just to tell us about this. But I've never seen a paper bag from LEGO, and I don't think we will see them in North America until at least 2025. But I know that they have been appearing in Europe and other places. So in the set we got one minifigure who has this very nice unique Lamborghini printed torso. Very nice to get that. And he gets an alternative expression. There's some back printing here, but it's a bit subtle. It's dark blue on black, so not very easy to see. But yes, this torso here is very much appreciated. And then for the headpiece, we have 2 options, which I really enjoy. Either we get the hair, if he's just being a civilian, he's enjoying regular life. And here's what he looks like with the other alternate expression with the hair. And the other thing you can do is give him the helmet if he's going to do a race. So this is what that would look like, or like this. So I'm very happy that we got both the alternative expression and the choice of either the hairpiece or the helmet. So that's very nice to see. I think LEGO should always do this in all their sets. As usual, I will use a brick separator to apply the stickers. This is not included in the set, you'll need to get it separately. I will also point out that this is a clear backed sticker sheet. You can see it's kind of transparent. I'm not sure if that's visible on camera, but basically these stickers are not white backed, they're clear backed, so that means you could apply this to a car of a different color if you want to recolor your Countach. But this also means that if you apply the stickers incorrectly, there's going to be air bubbles and they will look very ugly, and it's much more difficult to get a second chance with these stickers. You have to get them right the first time. Let's hope that's going to be the case for me. Here, like when I remove the sticker, it's easier to see that it's clear backed. Look at the transparency behind it. I don't even want to touch the underside of the sticker because that will leave my fingerprint on it, and I want to avoid that. So bag 1 builds the rear part of the Countach. This is all what I was able to see from the 3D view. I was able to build it without using any of these pieces here, so in practice a lot of these pieces should be somewhere in here to provide additional stability. But since I don't have a magic wand, I had to guess and basically improvise how to build all of this stuff on the interior because it's not visible to me without the instructions. But the overall shaping, this is it. We have a very nice rear shaping. I'll talk more about the build techniques at the end of the build entirely. But yeah, I was able to build something that looks like what the instructions would have you build, but without using any of these pieces. Bag 1 also gives the figure that we looked at earlier, and this wrench that is both useful for play and for removing the wheel covers. Alright, now it's time to look at the big daddy of them all, the big Lamborghini Countach. And this is the largest one so far, maybe the largest one they'll ever make. The box is impressive. I have to push it all the way back with my recording area just to capture its whole size. And it's pretty thick. Look at that. It's so thick it's very hard to fit it in frame. This is my hand just for the sake of comparison. So there's lots of stuff in here. And on the back of the box we see the very impressive opening doors, as well as various features of the car, as well as the real car with its door opens in front of a Lamborghini dealership or factory. And without further ado, let's open the box. This set contains 0 minifigures, unfortunately, but at least we get an orange brick separator, and there are no stickers in this set, so we will not need to use this to apply stickers, only to separate parts if we need. So bag 1 builds this base of the chassis. It looks boring, but it's not. It was fun to put this Technic frame together and to watch it grow very quickly. So we're off to a good start here. So in bag 2 we also get this box. I believe this contains the rubber bands. And yes, we get 2 rubber bands in this set, and unfortunately there are no spares. They should have included at least 1 spare in my opinion. Bag 2 builds up a little bit more on this side, so the lower sides over here, as well as the beginning of the mechanism to open the scissor doors. So that's pretty interesting. And we do a little bit of the detail as well. Bag 3 finishes the steering mechanism. This was pretty fun to put together, especially if you like LEGO Technic. There's a bunch of Technic to make this mechanism work. That was pretty fun. Also build this part of the front here and a little bit of the exterior that we're going to end up seeing, but most of this is going to get covered up. So for bag 3 we finish up with this Lamborghini tile. We do get 2 of them in the set actually, just because one of them is a spare, and we put it on the steering wheel like so. Yeah. So bag 4 builds these very nice leather seats in dark red, as well as this stuff here around the back. And now we see that we added the telephone pieces here just to be able to rest this piece on them, this yellow piece, at just this very nice angle. It's a very subtle angle right here. And again, kudos to the LEGO designer for being perfect with their geometry. This is genius. Bag 5 builds these doors. They're very impressive in the way that they open. We have this rubber band here, and the entire mechanism is not clear just from this particular building phase, but it's interesting to see the doors themselves nonetheless. The build technique here is pretty interesting. We're using lots of studs not on top techniques everywhere throughout this door, especially here. This part was particularly challenging. And here we see the interior of the door, like they're exactly the same but mirrored. So we do build the interior and the exterior, both are smooth, and there's lots of pieces that go into the doors to make this all fit together nicely and work together. So that is appreciated, although the doors were pretty challenging, I'll have to admit. So in bag 6, we build the motor, which is very impressive, very fun to figure out. These things here at that perfect angle, thanks to the pieces from before, and a little bit here at the top. And some other pieces here, but the motor is the main thing for bag 6. This is a lot of fun to put together. It uses these claw pieces, so that's some nice part usage, and we use these whips as cables to be colored in red. And for whatever reason, I don't know if this is true for all sets, but my copy of the set has 2 extra red whips, so that's pretty cool. Bag 7 builds these wheel arches right here, this bit right here, and part of the roof, and a bit of the back. Here's a look at the printed dashboard before I put it inside, because then it will be difficult to see once we look at the car at the end. Bag 8 builds these wheel arches, or part of them, right here, same on the other side, as well as this front portion here and covering it up, and also the dashboard, the upper part of it at least. And we also got this very nice printed tile with the Lamborghini logo. Yeah, and that also includes the Lamborghini name itself, so it's not just the bull logo, but also the word Lamborghini, so that's a very nice print to get. We also got this metallic silver here that's used for the lights, that's also very nice. I will point out at the start of bag 9 that very good news, we get this windshield piece that's wrapped separately in its own small plastic bag or plastic wrapping. This is very important. I'm happy that LEGO got it right this time. They should always get it right, especially for these expensive 18+ display models. They should always do this. So this is excellent. Thank you, LEGO, for doing this. Please continue to do this. They should always be wrapped up and not just thrown around to be scuffed by all the other parts that would scratch it. So this is exactly what I want to see from now on from LEGO, and this is what I will expect from LEGO from now on, so I hope they're listening. Bag 9 finishes the roof, adds this very nice windshield that thankfully came in this protective plastic sleeve, and builds the hood of the car as well as the front in general. So this was actually very challenging to put together, especially this part here, to figure out how it is all done on the inside. And then it took me several tries to successfully attach this windshield, just because it's very difficult to attach it to this without disassembling a bunch of other stuff. So there's a particular order in which you're supposed to do things, and if you don't use the instructions, it's going to be hard to figure out that order on the first try. But nevertheless, I'm done with bag 9. Only 2 more bags to go. Bag 10 builds the upper door frames on both sides, as well as the beautiful rear. There's so many fun and interesting building techniques to achieve this perfect look. All of these are prints, very nice to get. Bag 11 builds these rear view mirrors, as well as all this stuff here. So this back part, including this openable cover. We'll look at all of that in more detail later, as well as the wheels here and all this stuff at the back. So wow, we're done with the build. What an amazing build. What a challenging build also. For whatever reason, I'll just mention up front that it's hard for this to stay put together. Like if I push this, then this is going to separate from this side. We'll try to get it a little bit closer. All right, now that we built both the little brother and the big brother, it's time to look at both of them. Let's start with the little one first. So before I talk about all the details, I'll just show you the model from all angles. So here it is from the side, the top, back, front, and I'll angle it so you see the very nice headlights here. They're done with stickers, but I really love this effect. It's genius. And the bottom, which is probably the least interesting side, but still shows you some of the interesting building techniques. I'll start by mentioning this one, where we're basically putting those bar pieces with stud into other pieces here just to create this perfect distance in order to have this wheel arch not have any gaps from this side. So this small model has lots of interesting design decisions that are really fun to build, especially without the instructions. So this is a good model overall. It's cheap at $25 US or $30 Canadian. It's all stickers though, so this is a sticker, and even these lights underneath are done using stickers. Only the windshield is printed, but even the windshield unfortunately does not have the proper color, so this white is not the same as this white. They're not even close. This one is more bluish gray, this one is more yellowish. Inside there's space for 2 minifigures to sit, because this is minifigure scale after all, and we have a red upholstery here, and it's using the actual color red, not dark red like the larger Countach. And here the steering wheel is unfortunately offset. It's not right in front of the minifigure, but it's basically offset by half a stud from where it should be. But at this scale, it's acceptable. And of course, at this set, we got one minifigure that we looked at previously. You see here some of the intake details, and yeah, like the windows extending throughout the rear. There are no openable doors here. The doors do not open at all. The only way to access the cabin is by removing this windshield piece here. That's fine at this scale. Although I do wish that they would have done the openable doors. I think it's possible to do here. Maybe not as fancy as a large one, but just like have a simple hinge open close. And here the wheel covers are printed also, so that's pretty nice. From the back, I really like the way that they did these angles here to perfectly frame the cone pieces, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, it's very subtle, but I like the way they did it. They used some LEGO Technic on the inside, so check my speed build to see how they did it exactly. But the gist of it is that there's a LEGO Technic piece that allows for tilting at this very slight angle, and we attach to it with one stud, and it holds itself pretty well. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Before we take a look at the large model, I'll just compare this Lamborghini Countach with another Lamborghini Speed Champions set that was released recently. So this here is the Lambo V12 Vision GT. Yeah, such a long name. It's also 8 studs wide. This was released in 2022. This was released in June 2024, and I also built this one without the instructions. This one has a bit more prints, like over here and here. The minifigure sits very, very low to the ground, even lower than this guy right here. And it's a lot more curvy and has more exciting shaping, and the color scheme is arguably more interesting as well. But I still think the Countach is more iconic. So a lot more people are going to be familiar with the Countach than the Vision GT, but it's debatable as to which one of these is the best. I personally pick the Countach. This is not bad, but I prefer this. So again, here's a look at them from various angles. I just gotta adjust this slightly, and these pieces were annoying. I mentioned that in my review, they keep falling off. The Countach does not have that problem. Like this one feels wider to me, the Vision GT, although they're both 8 studs wide, but just because of the way it's designed. And then from the underside, this one actually does have some interesting details, including these transparent pieces here and here, to be reminiscent of the video game version of this. So that's pretty cool. But on this one, I don't like these holes that are left exposed. So yeah, in a face-off between these two, oh, that piece fell off again. In a face-off between these two, who do you think is going to win? Comment down below. And before I take this one away, I know that LEGO made this in 2022, and then 2 years later, right about now, they released the large one. So do you think LEGO is going to create a large version of this car in 2 years, or maybe 1 year? Comment down below. I think it will take them longer just because this car is less iconic, so I think they're going to go with a lot more Speed Champions sets before they get to this one. But I do think eventually we might get a large Icons level car of this particular model, or something similar to it in olive green, and I would really like to see that. Alright, now let's take a look at the Big Daddy. Here's a look from the side, and then the top. I'm just showing you how it looks like from all angles before we get into the details of the build and the model itself. Here's a look from the front, and I will angle it again just so you see the beautiful headlights down here. And here everything is printed. There are no stickers in the large set. The other side is symmetrical in every way except for the driver's compartment, where there's a steering wheel only on this side. But if you want, you can change the instructions just a little bit to put the steering wheel on the other side if you prefer that. So LEGO does give the option. I don't know if they explicitly write that down in the instructions. I know they do that for some sets. I don't know if they do it for all the sets. Like I know for the Defender last year, they give you instructions for both the left and the right. And here's the rear view. So let's actually compare that with the smaller Speed Champions one. And we see that the shape has been captured nicely in both models. Here they're just using a single piece in red, which is the dominant color. Here they're actually detailing each specific light, and this just looks amazing to me. But respect to the Speed Champions designer for capturing, basically boiling down all that detail to just this one piece and doing it well. So yeah, both of these are excellent. So let's have a look at some more details. So while we're at the back, I just need to adjust this exhaust. So while we're at the back, I'll point out that there's a license plate holder here with the printed Countach tile. These are also printed bricks, and the way that they achieve these bricks to make them centered is actually using some LEGO Technic pieces on the inside to, instead of jumper plates. So that was an interesting build technique. Here, this whole thing, the way they achieve these angles is by using lots of LEGO Technic pieces and just slotting them in the right place. Watch the speed build for the details, so that's pretty cool. But these are, the ones on the top are attached using clips, so that's pretty different. And this was a pain to put on, by the way, because it kept falling apart. So, and it was towards the end of the build when I wanted to finish it up. So if you're building this without the instructions, you'll be almost done, but then this part here is very annoying to put together, just so you know. The wheels, so while we were looking at the bottom, let's go back there. So this model does not look very beautiful from the bottom, and not super realistic either, but I think that's excusable. But I will mention the tires. Look at these tires. So finally, we got thicker rear tires compared to the front wheel ones. So this makes sense. This is consistent with the actual model. And it's true that we're using two pieces here instead of one big fat tire, but I think this is acceptable in this circumstance. It gets the idea across. If you're looking at it, like, it's very hard to see that these are two different tires from all angles unless you look directly at it from the bottom. So I think this is fine, actually. And this piece and this piece are the same, but they're just inverted here to give it that rear wheel look. And here is the usual default positioning that is used for the front wheels. A lot of things here are openable. So for instance, we have the doors, and these are really nice the way that they're built. They're completely brick built, by the way, with very few specialized pieces. There is a rubber band on the interior just to make the spring work, so this holds itself in place, and it closes very nicely as well. Although we have this piece here that kind of seems to want to remove itself if you just slam the door without pushing it in like this. That's a minor nitpick. So this blue pin here is not ideal because it's not visible when the door is closed. I'm not going to complain too much about it. And on the inside, you get to see this very nice cabin. The seats here look like they're made of actual leather. So that's very nice. And here we're using the dark red, which is more realistic than the red used in the Speed Champions model. You have here a steering wheel with a printed Lamborghini tile, and it actually works. So notice that as I move the steering wheel, the wheels turn. Although it's pretty hard to activate that mechanism. Yeah, it's easier to turn the wheels and see the steering wheel turn than the other way around. So yeah, when you lift it in the air, it's easiest to turn the wheels and just see the steering wheel turn. It's not turning a lot, so it's not the most realistic thing ever, but it's a nice feature, and building it is part of the experience of owning this model, so it's part of the build experience, as they say. And if you don't care about that, then you can just skip the steering mechanism by removing those pieces and just mounting the wheels statically. You'll have to figure out how to do that yourself, though, although I don't think it's too difficult. So here for the gear shifter, we're using a piece that is very similar to the one used for Speed Champions, although there we're using an actual LEGO microphone piece. Here it's a ball end connector. Oop, I knocked out this piece by accident. Where does this go? This goes right here. Yeah, so there's parts of the model that are held with only single studs, and they're very easy to knock off if you're not careful. So just keep that in mind. But this is a display model more than a play model, so I'm not going to judge it as harshly as the Speed Champions Countach, because that one is intended for kids to play with. This one is more you build it, you display it, and you don't really play with it. So yeah, there's a printed dash. I showed this earlier during the build because it's very hard to see when it's all stuck in there. And the windshield, so whether it's this piece here or the giant windshield, they are technically transparent, but they're so dark. The transparent black color that LEGO uses is almost entirely opaque. It's slightly transparent, so it's very hard to see what is inside. Maybe you're able to see. I'll see if I can put a finger. Are you gonna see that on camera? Maybe. Like it's very hard to see. So yeah, on this side it looks pretty much the same, just that there's no steering wheel. I'll try to get that to focus in there. Yeah. So and we can see from this angle the printed console piece right here. So that's pretty cool to get. And if we look in the details, if we look all the way afar, we see some tan there. I don't know if that's supposed to be there, if that's supposed to be visible, but it is there, at least the way I built it. And then from here we can see some of the details of the front compartment. So the engine is not here, and I'll get back to the engine. But that to me is a nitpick, because most of the time you're not going to be opening these doors, unless you want to keep it displayed like this permanently, like they have on the box. So I would not do that just because I don't want to see this blue pin. Yes, I know, the blue pin all the time. But if you want to display it open, I think this is okay, although it might wear off the rubber bands. I'm not sure. And it's interesting that they use some very cool building techniques for these doors. Like for example, right here, you see like why is there like a half plate thick thing here? It's actually because we're using studs not on top to put all the pieces together. So that was pretty cool and very interesting to figure out. It's one of the most difficult parts of the build to figure out these doors. But there were many challenging parts of this build. So if you're looking for a nice challenge, something to keep you busy, as one of the LEGO store employees said, this is a very good option. Over here, we have this trunk compartment. So you press down slightly, not too hard, and then this is going to come up like this, and you can store some stuff inside. Let me try to see if I can put a minifigure inside there. We're going to go back to the good old days when LEGO minifigures represented babies. And yeah, let's put him in like that, and oh, we need to maybe flatten him a little bit. That works perfectly, so we can fit a minifigure in here. Probably we can fit more than one if we place them in just the right places. That's interesting to note, and you could fit some other stuff here as well if you so choose. Maybe all the extra parts in the set, or just something small that fits here. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see if the brick separator fits. That one's probably going to be too large. Yeah, the brick separator will not fit in here. Okay, so that's pretty cool. It was fun to build and put together. Printed Lamborghini slope piece here, so that's pretty good. And here, these assemblies are done completely separate from these ones. So this is its own thing, and this is its own thing, and then there's this gap in the middle. If you adjust the piece just the right way, you minimize this gap and this gap over here. And I like the way that they did this to basically allow for you to see the lights underneath the headlights. It's very reminiscent of what they did on the smaller model. It's the same kind of idea. You have the lights at the bottom and then a transparent piece on top to give that very nice effect. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see this technique repeated, although here they're using actual colored pieces instead of using a sticker with those colors. If you look closely, you'll see here some anti-studs peeking out. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it would have been better if they used an inverted tile over here, because that piece does exist in the LEGO inventory. I'm pretty sure it exists in white, so they could have used an inverted tile over here. I don't know why they did not do that. Oh, I got this wheel wrong. Let me reinsert it in the proper orientation. So yeah, that just to show you the wheels are like they can be used in for both the front and rear. With the front wheels, when you're inserting them, it's helpful to hold the other wheel so that it does not turn needlessly. Otherwise, it's hard to insert it through the axle. Yeah, that's better. Well, here's a better look at the front from various angles. So here's what it looks like from the top, and then angling it down more and more and more. There's some transparent pieces used here and more printed pieces here. That's pretty cool. So yeah, like looking at it from this angle, or here where you barely see those lights and the colors, like that's very nice. Like this is scary, it's menacing, you really feel it. Like when you look at it head on like this, you see the face of the car, so to speak, right here. So that's pretty cool. And when you build this, you'll be rewarded with these very nice views. If you like cars, of course. Over on the rear, we have these air intakes. They're pretty large, and building ones in the Speed Champions, this took like 5 seconds, just like put these two pieces here and then just two pieces on top of another piece. This was very quick. This is not so much. This is not that quick. And here, this one piece here, we're using so many pieces to achieve the same effect, but in greater detail. So again, this was very difficult to put together. And there's lots of stuff going on that we don't really see at the back because it's covered by this. So let's open it and see what's inside. Ah, well, look at that. That's nice. That's pretty cool. That's the engine. It's done in a very interesting way, and it has some nice part usage, including these claw pieces right here and these minifigure whips recolored in red. That's very, very, very nice to see. And building this was fun. Sadly, this is not removable. You can't just take this engine out and look at it and put it back. It's really fixed in place. On the other hand, if you have your own pieces and if you know what you're doing, you can replace this brick-built engine with an actual LEGO engine or third-party engine from a company like Blue is, and then you can turn this into a remote-controlled model. You're going to need another engine or some other mechanism to steer the wheels, but if you know what you're doing, I'm sure you can figure that out. That's a fun project if you want to motorize this set. Unfortunately, LEGO does not include any instructions to do that right out of the box. They used to do that many years ago, but then for whatever reason, they stopped doing that. So if you want to motorize this, you're going to have to rely on your own expertise or find someone online who's already done it and is selling the instructions online. But because of all the space that LEGO gives us both here and here, like I'm pretty sure you could fit the motors needed in these areas. So maybe the designer was thinking that, yeah, I know LEGO's not going to let me motorize it, but at least let me give people space so that if someone wants to add their own motors, they can. So yeah, we've looked at this car from all angles. Oh, and the spoiler here is done very well. Some people have complained that there's too many studs here, but they don't really bother me. On the Speed Champions one, there's no studs at all. But I know LEGO has a rule where you need to show some studs on every single LEGO system product. So it does not include Duplo, it does not include LEGO Technic. But if it's a LEGO system product, there have to be at least a few studs visible. It's one of LEGO's rules. That's why here, for example, on the Speed Champions, we see these studs here. They could have covered them up, but they're not supposed to. They're supposed to show you that this is LEGO. It's part of the LEGO brand to have those studs. It's the same reason why these studs here are visible. It is intentional. So the designer is aware of that. And I like that, the way they, maybe in some cases I don't like it. Like if I wanted to have like a perfectly smooth cube of some sort, but I like the design language. Like no matter how advanced LEGO gets, we're always going to have some studs here so that you remember that all this is built with mostly standard parts, some specialized parts, but mostly standard parts. So yeah, both of these are excellent models. I highly recommend getting both of them. I have some minor nitpicks about each one. For this one, I don't like the stickers. For this one, there's some parts of the build process were not as enjoyable, in my opinion, building it without the instructions, but it was a very good challenge. So even if it's frustrating at times, that's part of the challenge, that's part of the fun. But I was building this in a bit of a rush because I want to get this review out to you as soon as I can. So having to redo this particular part, like I think I had to redo this 5 times because there's a piece that kept falling off again and again. That was pretty annoying. But overall, the build experience is very good, even without the instructions, and I learned a lot of things when I was building this. So for the large Countach, even though it is not minifigure scale, I would have appreciated if they gave us a minifigure just like this. Maybe just, you don't need to make a fancy stand like what they did with the Ayrton Senna minifigure, but just this piece right here and the minifigure that we already got from the Countach. Maybe just change the legs for something else just to make it exclusive. Maybe printed arms if we're being deluxe because this is a LEGO Icons. But yeah, keep this torso in general. It's Lamborghini. It's fitting, and give it a stand just to enhance the value of the model. Of course, the minifigure will fit in here, but it's going to look comically small. It's going to look basically like a baby trying to drive the car. So it's pretty funny, actually, if you want to put him there. Yeah, that's very funny. Here's what he looks like from the front. If you can see him, I can barely see him myself, like with my own eyes, but I don't know if that's going to be visible on camera. But yeah, I still think that LEGO should include a minifigure in every set, or almost every set, just to enhance the display value, the collectability, and the overall happiness that you get when you build a set. So yeah, that's another thing I would like to say. And LEGO has included minifigures in these large icon sets before, including the McLaren MP44, which came with its own display stand. Let's take it off the display stand just to compare it with the Countach. So both of these cars are supposed to be at the same scale. They have the same wheel size. Of course, this is a Formula 1, and this is a regular car, not a regular car, but a car that is used on regular roads. So there's going to be a big difference in terms of the size, number of pieces, and so on. So it does make sense why this one is a lot more expensive, just because there's a lot more stuff here. But in terms of the dimensions, they're the same. And here, you can check my review for all the details, but you can basically take this off and have a look at the motor inside. And the motor is removable. Actually, I'm not sure if the entire motor is removable. Only this part is removable. You can basically look at that and then put this back. So it was designed in that particular way. Here, it's easier because you just lift this. You don't need to like remove parts and then they might not come out exactly the way they're intended to. This is easier and better. So let's just have a look at a different angle. So one of the major complaints that many fans made about the McLaren is that these wheels, they should not have used the same tires for the front and back. These should have been much thicker. So like they should have been like this thick. And it's true that the Countach was going to come out like a few months afterwards, so it's not because of that feedback that LEGO improved the Countach, but maybe they already knew that they were going to get this feedback, and they had more budget for the Countach, so they included the wider wheels for the Countach. And also here, the wheels are exposed, so if they were to use two wheels here, it would be more obvious. On the Countach, it's a lot less obvious because they're covered up from the top, so that could be another reason why, even in 2022, 2023, when they were designing these models before they were announced and released, they were like, okay, the compromise is that we're going to use the same wheels here, and then we're going to use the fatter ones, or the combination of the two wheels, or the two tires over here. So that might have been their thinking. These are both LEGO Icons vehicles. Which one of these to get if you are hesitating between the two? Well, if you can afford the Countach, I think you'll enjoy the Countach more in terms of the build experience. I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm saying that I found the Countach to be a lot more challenging, a lot more rewarding. On the other hand, if you prefer Formula 1, if you prefer McLaren, then go for this one. And this one is also a lot cheaper. So if you're a bit tight on budget, you want to have a LEGO Icons display model, but you don't want to shell out the 180 US or 240 for the large Countach, you can get this one instead. And then if you're really limited in funds or display space, you just want something small, get one of these Speed Campions models for 25 US or $30 Canadian. And now I know the new ones, they increased the price by $5 respectively, but still a lot cheaper than the large options and still pretty decent value. And you also get a minifigure with every Speed Champion set, at least one. Sometimes you get two. So yeah, LEGO does give you lots of options if you want to have a display model. And there are also LEGO Technic sets with pullback motors if you're more interested in a toy for kids to play with. The Speed Champions are also considered toys, and lots of kids enjoy playing with them. Now, in terms of price and value, this one is obviously much better value for money. You pay a little bit, and you still get like a small representation of the Countach. This one, like, you can buy it without thinking about it too much. This one, on the other hand, is more of an investment. You only get it if you really know what you're doing, if you really want that challenge, and you might get it as like the only LEGO set you're going to get for the year, or maybe unless you're someone like me and you just buy all the LEGO sets or almost all of them, because you're doing this for a YouTube channel or something like that. But if you're a really big fan of the Countach, and if you can afford it, then definitely get both, so that you can display them side by side, and maybe get a second copy of this minifigure so that you can display him over here or over here. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, in terms of price and value, this one I'm not going to complain about the price. I think this one's fair at 25 US, 30 Canadian. This one, there's a lot of value in what we get. Like when you lift this, it's heavy. You feel like you're getting your money's worth here. At the same time though, I know it's printed and there's only prints, no stickers and so on, but I would still like to see this around 20% cheaper. The regular retail price is 180 US or 240 Canadian. I would like to see it at maximum 150 US and $200 Canadian. So give us a $30, $40 discount at least. And I know eventually it's going to get discounted, but it might take a while. So I think with that discount, it would be a lot more palatable for me to recommend the large set. Of course, if you have insider points or cashback rewards or something like that, you can help bring the price down. Or you could just wait for it to go down or buy an older model that's about to retire and it's being discounted 20%, 30% off. So it all depends on what you prioritize. So this is not bad, but I would like to see this a lot cheaper. This one is good, and because this one's been around for a while, you're very likely to find this 20% off at places like Amazon and Walmart from time to time. So you're actually more likely to find a discount on the smaller, cheaper model than on the larger, more expensive one. which is a little bit surprising when you think about it. And one good thing about both models is that they fit in their respective boxes without having to disassemble them. For the small one, it's very obvious it will fit in the box. I have some stuff in there like the instructions that I did not use, obviously, and yeah, the whole thing fits inside quite nicely. For the large one, it's a little bit less obvious if it's going to fit without actually trying it yourself, but I can prove to you that it does fit in fact. So here we go. Just push it in, and yeah, I can push it way back before it hits the other side of the box. Here's a look at it in the box. So this is very good if you want to store this long term. Although if you're going to transport it, I recommend putting lots of bubble wrap inside so that it's not bumped around, because there's lots of small parts or lots of sub-assemblies that are going to fall apart if you just shake it the wrong way. There's still things that can fall off pretty easily, relatively speaking. But nonetheless, it's excellent that this fits in the box. And so with that, we have taken a look at both the small and the large Lamborghini Countach or Countaches. Which one do you like the best? Which one are you going to be getting, or which one did you already get? Let me know in a comment down below. Let me know what you think about both builds, and make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like what you see here so that you don't miss my upcoming videos, and share the video if you found it interesting. That's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.